hadn't gotten hard in 3 years, until I met this stubborn brat whose voice made me rock hard. Sit tight and grab your popcorn while I tell you this story. Please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. I watched my men flood the boutique, their presence causing the expected chaos. Screams, scrambling bodies. The store emptied within seconds, exactly as I'd ordered. Except one person remained. A man stood at the counter, scrolling through his phone like my armed guards were nothing more than an inconvenience. A garment bag draped over his arm. He didn't even glance up at the commotion. "Sir," I said, "everyone out," one of my guards shouted. "I heard you." The man's voice was calm, dismissive. "Not leaving without my jacket. I paid extra for rush alterations." My guard's face went red. His hand moved toward his gun. "Do you have any idea who he is?" "Don't care." Those amber eyes finally lifted, meeting my guard's stare with complete indifference. "Either shoot me or let me get my stuff. I have a meeting at 3. I moved forward through the racks of designer suits, my footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. Everyone feared that sound. Everyone except, apparently, this stranger. I stopped directly in front of him, using my height and presence the way I always did, to intimidate, to command. "You didn't hear my men?" He looked me up and down, utterly unimpressed. "I heard them perfectly. I'm choosing to ignore them." Something jolted through me. Surprise. Disbelief. No one ignored me. Ever. "Do you know who I am?" Some guy who thinks shutting down a store makes him special. He turned back to the counter like I was boring him. "Look, I get it. You're used to people jumping when you snap. But I've dealt with worse than you in retail, so unless you're actually gonna shoot me, can we speed this up? I need my jacket." Heat exploded through my body. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Blood rushed south with a force I'd forgotten was possible. My vision tunneled, focusing only on him, this sharp-tongued stranger who didn't know fear. After 3 years of nothing, 3 years of emptiness, of doctors, of accepting I was permanently broken. My body roared back to life like someone had defibrillated my corpse. I was getting hard. From his voice. From his complete lack of fear. From every word that came out of that infuriating mouth. "What's the matter?" He tilted his head. "A cat got your tongue? You mafia types really are all bark and no bite." Each word made it worse. Made me harder. Made 3 years of numbness shatter like glass under a hammer. "Boss!" Victor stepped closer, concern in his voice. I clenched my jaw, trying to regain control of my body, my mind, my racing pulse. Couldn't let this man walk away. Couldn't let this feeling disappear. Not when I'd been dead inside since Alessandro, my wife's last breath, since our daughter's tiny hand went cold in mine. He died during childbirth. "Give him the jacket." My voice came out rougher than I intended. "Then put him in the car." His eyes widened. "Excuse me? You're coming with me." "Like hell I am not." He backed up, but Victor and 2 others moved to block him. "This is insane. You can't just take me." I closed the distance in 2 strides and grabbed his face, forcing those amber eyes to meet mine. The touch sent electricity shooting up my arm, igniting every nerve ending I'd thought was dead. "Watch me." Up close, his eyes were even more striking, furious and bright and alive. Everything I hadn't been in 3 years. My guards grabbed his arms. He exploded into motion, kicking and thrashing and swearing creatively enough to make Victor wince. "Let go of me. I'll SUEUL. I'll call the police. You psychotic." I followed as they dragged him toward the door, adjusting my jacket to hide my body's traitorous reaction. My hands were shaking. When was the last time my hands had shaken? They shoved him into the back of the SUV. He immediately lunged for the door handle. Locked. "I'm not kidding. This is kidnapping. I have rights." I slid into the front passenger seat, trying to steady my breathing. "Drive." The SUV pulled into traffic. Behind me, he was typing furiously on his phone. "Take that." I nodded to Victor. Victor reached back and snatched the phone. "Hey, that's mine. You can't just take it. Give it back." "Not anymore." I stared straight ahead, watching the city blur past, feeling my heart pound in a way it hadn't since the hospital, since their death. What's your name? Why? So you can Google me before you murder me? Stalker. Your name. Silence stretched between us. Then, quietly, angrily, he said, Marco Vega. And you're going to prison for this. Marco. I tested the name, committed it to memory. Felt right somehow. I'm Dante Santoro. I don't care what your name is. Let me out of this car, he yelled. But I said nothing. Just watched the city give way to estates and gated properties, trying to process what I'd done. What I was doing. My body was still responding, still feeling, still alive. Because of this stranger who didn't know when to shut up. The estate gates opened. Marco went quiet, staring at my home. Where are we? My home. This is kidnapping. You know that, right? This is literally legally kidnapping. I know. I did know. I just didn't care. Couldn't care. Not when feeling my hard manhood was more important than morality. Victor pulled up to the entrance. My guards yanked Marco out. He didn't fight this time, just glared at me with enough venom to kill a lesser man. Take him to the West Wing. Blue Room. My voice was steady again, cold. Back to the man who ruled through fear. Lock it. They marched him inside. I watched him look around, cataloging exits and windows. Smart. Already planning escape routes. The Blue Room was the nicest prison anyone could ask for. Everything except freedom. Marco spun to face me at the doorway. You can't keep me here. I can. I stepped back into the hallway. Why? His voice cracked. What do you want from me? I looked at him, at those furious amber eyes, that mouth that wouldn't stop running. The source of the feeling I thought I'd never experience again. I'll explain tomorrow. Explain now. I nodded to my guard. The door closed. The lock clicked. Marco's fists pounded against the wood. Let me out. Hey, open this door right now. I'm not kidding. I stood on the other side, listening to him rage. My hands were still shaking. My body still alive. What had I done? I kidnapped a civilian. Brought him to my home. All because the man's voice shattered 3 years of numbness. Victor appeared at my elbow. Boss? You sure about this? No. Should I call someone? A doctor? No. I started walking toward my office, needing distance and alcohol. Just make sure he doesn't hurt himself trying to escape. And if he asks questions, tell him nothing. I locked myself in my office and poured whiskey with shaking hands. My phone buzzed with business, territory disputes, money that needed laundering, problems that required my attention. I ignored all of it. Instead, I sat in the dark and touched my chest where my heart was pounding. Alessandro's face flashed in my memory. His smile. His laugh. The way he'd looked at me like I hung the moon. Then the hospital. The blood. The machines failing. Alessandro's hand going limp in mine. Our daughter. Our tiny, perfect daughter, taking one breath and then nothing. After that, my body shut down completely. No desire, no arousal, no point. I tried everything. Different men, different situations, therapy, medications. Nothing worked. I'd accepted being hollow. Focused on my empire. Became more ruthless because what did it matter anymore? Until Marco opened his mouth in that boutique. I drained my glass. Poured another. What did you do to me, Marco Vega? Down the hall, Marco had finally stopped pounding. The estate fell quiet except for guards' footsteps and the distant sound of the city I controlled. I'd figure out what to do tomorrow. Tonight, I just wanted to sit in the dark and feel alive. By morning, I'd slept maybe 2 hours. I spent the rest of the night pacing my office, trying to justify what I'd done. By dawn, I had no justifications. Only the certainty that I couldn't let him go yet. I prepared a breakfast tray myself, something I never did. Walked to the Blue Room with my heart pounding like I was facing an enemy instead of carrying eggs and toast. The lock clicked. I opened the door. Marco was sitting on the floor against the bed, exhausted and furious. He looked like he'd spent the night testing every weakness in the room. Smart. He grabbed a pillow and hurled it at my head. I caught it without breaking stride, set it aside, and placed the tray on the table. "You need to eat. I'm not eating anything you give me. For all I know, it's poisoned. If I wanted you dead, you'd be dead." I picked up a fork, took a bite of the scrambled eggs, chewed slowly, swallowed. "See? Not poisoned." His stomach growled audibly, but he crossed his arms and stayed on the floor. "I want to go home." "No. You can't just say no like I'm asking to borrow your car. This is illegal. This is..." His voice rose. "Why am I here? What do you want from me?" I walked to the armchair by the window and sat down, forcing myself to appear calm even though my heart was racing. The morning light caught his face, and I memorized every angle, every expression. It was time to tell him the truth, or part of it. 3 years ago, I had a husband. The words came out flat, emotionless. I told this story to doctors, to therapists, never to someone who mattered. His name was Alessandro. We wanted a family, so we hired a surrogate. She went into labor early. There were complications. Marco's anger faltered. He stayed quiet, watching me with those sharp amber eyes. Alessandro insisted on being there for the birth. He held our daughter once. Just once. Her name was going to be Sophia. My jaw tightened. I could still feel her tiny weight in my arms. She took one breath. He told her he loved her. Then she stopped breathing. The doctors tried everything. Alessandro's heart gave out an hour later from the stress and blood loss. I lost them both in the same day. The room went silent. I could hear birds outside, could hear my own heartbeat. After that, my body stopped working. I finally looked at him, letting him see the rawness I usually hid. No desire, no arousal, nothing. I saw specialists, tried therapy, tried being with other men. My body was as dead as they were. I accepted it, focused on business, on power, on anything except feeling. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. "Then yesterday, you opened your mouth in that boutique and told me you didn't care who I was." Something, humor, disbelief, flickered through me. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt something. Everything. My body came back to life like someone flipped a switch. Marco stared at me. "So what? I'm your magic cure? Your personal Viagra? I don't know what you are." I stood and moved toward the door, needing to leave before I said too much. "But I'm not letting you go. Not yet. That's not fair. I never claimed to be fair." I paused at the door. "Eat, Marco. You'll need your strength if you plan to keep fighting me." "I do plan to keep fighting you." "Good." I felt my lips quirk slightly. "I'd be disappointed if you didn't." I closed the door and locked it, then leaned against the wall outside. My hands were shaking again. What was I doing? Keeping him here wouldn't make this right. Wouldn't make me less of a monster. But I couldn't let him go. Not when he was the only thing that made me feel human. The next few days fell into a pattern. I visited twice daily, bringing food and staying to talk. At first, he threw things and screamed threats. But by day 3, the fight had dimmed to exhaustion. On the 4th evening, I brought dinner and found him actually sitting at the table instead of on the floor. I was progress. "Why the mafia?" he asked, taking a bite of food. "Family business?" Something like that. I sat in my usual chair watching him eat. My grandfather started it. My father expanded it. I perfected it. And the killing? The violence? It's necessary. That's your justification? It's necessary? In my world, yes. I couldn't look away from his face, memorizing every expression. You don't build an empire by being soft. And kidnapping mouthy designers? That part of the empire building. No. My lips quirked. That's just for me. Something shifted in his expression at those words. I caught it, a flicker of something that wasn't just anger. "I had a life, you know," he said quietly. "A job, friends, an apartment that's probably being robbed right now because no one knows where I am. Your rent is paid through the year. I had my people handle it." His fork clattered against his plate. "You what? I'm not a monster, Marco. I don't want you worrying about practical matters. You kidnapped me. That's pretty much the definition of a monster." Fair point. I stood to leave before I did something stupid like reach for him. But you're still here, and you're still eating my food. So maybe I'm not the only one who's conflicted. I left before he could throw something. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. He was right, and that was the worst part. I was a monster, but I was a monster who finally felt alive again. Day 7 changed everything. I came for my evening visit tense and distracted. Business problems, the Kozlov family pushing into my territory. I should have canceled, should have dealt with it first. But I couldn't stay away from Marco. It was becoming a problem. I paced the room instead of sitting, ran my hand through my hair. What's wrong? Marco asked. Business. Territory dispute with the Kozlov family. Nothing you need to worry about, right? Because I'm just the prisoner who makes you feel things. I stopped pacing and looked at him. Really looked at him. Is that what you think? That you're just a means to an end? Aren't I? No. I crossed the room in 3 strides, stopping close enough to see gold flecks in his amber eyes. You're more than that. I cut myself off. I was saying too much. I was being too honest. I'm what? You're the first person in 3 years who's made me want to be alive. The words came out rough, raw. The first person who looks at me and doesn't see a monster or a boss or a weapon. You look at me and see someone you're not afraid to challenge. I'm not afraid of you. I know. That's the problem. My hand came up slowly, giving him time to pull away. When he didn't, I brushed my fingers along his jaw. The touch sent fire through my veins. You should be afraid. You should hate me. I do hate you, he whispered, but he leaned into my touch. Liar. I kissed him. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate and fierce. 3 years of starvation compressed into one moment. I expected him to push away, to fight, to remember I was his captor. But his hands fisted in my shirt, pulling me closer. He kissed back with equal desperation, and something inside me cracked wide open. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, I couldn't think straight. That was, Marco started. A mistake, I finished, even though I didn't let go. A huge mistake. The worst. Neither of us moved. You should leave, Marco said. I should. My thumb traced his lower lip. But I don't want to. Dante. Say my name again. I needed to hear it. Needed to hear him say my name like that. Breathless and uncertain and wanting. This is insane. You're my kidnapper. I should hate you. I do hate you. Then push me away. I rested my forehead against his. Tell me to leave and I will. Tell me you hate me and mean it, and I'll walk out that door. Silence stretched between us. I waited for the rejection. Deserved the rejection. But what came instead was, stay. My eyes snapped to his. Marco. Just for tonight. He looked vulnerable in a way I'd never seen. I don't want to be alone tonight. Something shifted inside me. Not triumph. Something softer. More dangerous. We'll just be talking all night. I forced myself to say. Nothing more. Not until you're ready. We ended up on the bed, sitting against the headboard like teenagers. I told him stories about Alessandro, how we met at a gallery opening, our first date at a terrible restaurant we pretended to like, the stupid fights about whose turn it was to cook. Marco talked about his family, his dreams of opening his own design studio, an ex-boyfriend who'd broken his trust. Hours passed. At some point, his head ended up on my shoulder. At some point, our fingers interlaced. I didn't sleep that night, just watched him breathe, memorized the weight of him against me, and tried to figure out what the hell I was doing. We fell into a new rhythm, one where he had freedom but chose to spend time with me anyway. It was terrifying and perfect, and I knew it couldn't last. Tonight, I sat in my usual chair while Marco paced. We'd just finished dinner, and the tension between us was suffocating. This has to stop, Marco said finally. I looked up from my whiskey. What has to stop? This, whatever this is. He gestured between us. You keep me here, bring me food, we talk for hours like this is normal. But it's not normal, Dante. This isn't okay. I know. I'd known from the beginning. Then why are you still doing it? I set down my glass and stood. Because I'm selfish. Because for the first time in 3 years, I feel alive. Because when I'm with you, I remember what it's like to be human instead of just surviving. That's not fair to me. His voice rose. You don't get to use me as your personal therapy just because your body responds to my voice. I'm not your medicine, Dante. I'm a person with a life that's falling apart because you can't let go. Each word was a knife. I know that too. Then prove it. He crossed his arms, and I saw the challenge in his eyes. If you really care about me, if any of this means anything beyond what I do to your body, then let me go. My chest constricted. Marco. No, listen to me. You say you're not a monster, but monsters don't give people choices. If you keep me here, you're just proving that I'm nothing more than a solution to your problem. But if you actually care, his throat worked. If you actually care, you'll let me walk out that door. The silence stretched. Every instinct screamed at me to refuse, to keep him here, to be the selfish monster I'd always been. But I looked at his face and saw the truth. He was right. You're right, I said quietly. He blinked. What? You're right. Keeping you here isn't love. It's possession. It's me being too broken and selfish to see past my own needs. I walked to the door and opened it, even though it felt like tearing out my own heart. Come on, I'll take you home. He stared at me in shock. Just like that. Just like that. My voice was rough but steady. Get your things. I'll drive you myself. I don't have things. You kidnapped me. Remember? Then let's go. The walk through the mansion was the longest of my life. I didn't look back to see if he was following. Couldn't bear to. Victor appeared with car keys, his expression carefully neutral. The drive into the city was silent. I stared straight ahead, not trusting myself to look at Marco. If I looked, I might change my mind, might turn the car around, might prove him right about me being a monster. When I pulled up to his building, I put the car in park but kept the engine running. This is it, I said, still not looking at him. I felt him hesitate, his hand on the door handle. That's all? No speech? No last-ditch effort to convince me to stay. You asked me to prove I care. This is me proving it. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Go, Marco. Live your life. Forget about me. And what about you? I'll manage. I did before you. I will again. The lie tasted bitter. Goodbye, Dante. Goodbye, Marco. I heard the door open, heard his footsteps, forced myself not to look in the rearview mirror, pulled away before I could see him walk inside. I made it 3 blocks before I had to pull over, sat in the car with my hands shaking and my chest hollow. I'd done the right thing, let him go, proved I wasn't the monster he thought I was. So why did it feel like I just died all over again? The first few days were unbearable. I threw myself into work, territory disputes, money laundering, problems that needed solving. None of it mattered. None of it helped. Food had no taste. My bed felt too big and too cold. Every shadow reminded me of Marco's presence. After a week, I left the city entirely. Went to the northern estate and told Victor I wasn't coming back. Boss, you can't just watch me. I locked myself away, stopped eating properly, stopped sleeping, went back to how I'd been after Alessandro died. Only worse, because this time I'd chosen it. I'd let Marco go, and now I was paying the price. 3 weeks after I dropped him off, I stood in my study at the northern estate, staring at a photo of Alessandro and Sofia, apologizing to them for being too broken to hold onto happiness when I found it again. That's when I heard shouting outside. Guards trying to stop someone. A familiar voice cutting through the chaos. I'm here to see Dante. Sir, you can't. He'll see me. Just tell him Marco is here. My heart stopped, then started again, pounding so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. I turned as the study door burst open. Marco stood there, breathing hard, looking furious and beautiful and real. Marco, my voice came out hoarse with disbelief. How did you? You idiot. He crossed the room in long strides. You let me go and then just disappeared? You asked me to let you go. I was testing you. I didn't think you'd actually do it. I stared at him like he was a ghost, like I'd finally lost my mind completely. You? What? I've been miserable. His voice cracked. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't think about anything except you. I tried to find you for weeks. Do you have any idea how hard you are to track down? You looked for me? Of course I looked for you, you emotionally constipated mobster. Because apparently I'm in love with the man who kidnapped me. And I've spent 3 weeks realizing that my apartment is just a prison without you in it. The world stopped spinning. Say that again, I whispered. Which part? The love part. His face burned red, but he held my gaze. I love you. I love you, you possessive, overprotective, impossible man. And I know that's insane. I know it's been barely a month and you kidnapped me and this whole thing is completely dysfunctional. But I don't care. I love you and I came here to tell you that. So if you're done being noble and self-sacrificing, I'd really like for you to. I closed the distance and kissed him. It was different from our first kiss. Less desperate, more certain. Like coming home after a lifetime of wandering. I poured 3 weeks of misery and longing into it, trying to show him what words couldn't say. When we finally broke apart, I rested my forehead against his. I've been in hell, I said roughly. These past 3 weeks, all I could think about was you. Whether you were safe, whether you were happy, whether you'd forgotten about me. Forget about you? I searched the entire city. I got cornered in an alley by your men. Victor thought I was insane. A laugh escaped me, rusty, like I'd forgotten how. You asked Victor? I was desperate, and he took pity on me, which is how I found you. I'm going to kill him. You're going to thank him. And then you're going to tell me that you love me too, because I just drove 3 hours and confessed my feelings. And if you don't say it back, I swear, I love you. I cupped his face with both hands, letting him see everything I'd been hiding. I loved you when I let you go. I loved you every day you were gone. I love you now, and I'll love you for whatever time you'll give me. His eyes shone with unshed tears. I have conditions. I actually laughed. Of course he did. Of course you do. I'm not moving here permanently. I'm keeping my apartment, my job, my life. But I'll split my time between the city and here. Agreed. You tell me about the dangerous parts of your business. No more protecting me by keeping me in the dark. Agreed. And we do this right. Dating. Actual dating. Not just the captive and captor thing we had going on. Agreed. And if I ever tell you to let me go again, you ignore me, because apparently I'm an idiot who doesn't know what I want. I smiled, a real smile that felt foreign on my face. That one I can definitely agree to. He kissed me again, slower this time, and I savored every second. When we broke apart, he looked around the study. So, this is where you've been hiding. I wasn't hiding. I was giving you space. For 3 weeks. I thought that's what you wanted. What I wanted was for you to fight for me, to show up at my apartment and refuse to leave until I admitted I was in love with you. I was trying to be better, to not be the monster who takes what he wants. Well, stop it. I like the monster. He grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the door. Now come on. Show me this place. And then we're going back to the city because I have work in 2 days and you're taking me on an actual date. A date? Yes, a date. Dinner, maybe a movie, normal relationship things. Think you can handle that, boss? I pulled him back against me, wrapping my arms around his waist. For you, I'll handle anything. Good, because you're stuck with me now. No more running away, no more noble sacrifices, no more letting me go when I'm being an idiot. Never again, I promised against his neck. You're mine now, and you're mine. 3 months later, I found myself splitting my time between the city and the northern estate, following Marco instead of the other way around. He had work, had a life. I had an empire to run. Somehow, we made it work. We fought regularly, usually about me being overprotective or him being too reckless, but we always made up. His friends thought he was dating some mysterious businessman. And Victor, who'd risked my wrath to give Marco the address, became an unlikely friend to both of us. One evening, I stood in the library at the northern estate, staring at a photo of Alessandro and Sofia. Marco found me there. "You okay?" he asked softly. I looked up, and for the first time in years, I felt peace instead of pain when I looked at their faces. Yeah, I was just thanking them. For what? For giving me a second chance at this. At love. At feeling human. I set down the photo and pulled Marco close. "Alessandro would have liked you. Your sharp tongue, your complete inability to be intimidated. He'd say, 'I need someone who keeps me in line.' He'd be right. Sofia would have been 3 this month. I used to imagine what she'd look like, what her first words would be. My voice thickened. I'll never stop missing them. But you taught me that moving forward doesn't mean forgetting." Marco hugged me tighter, and we stood there until my phone buzzed with business that couldn't wait. Some nights were harder than others. Sometimes I woke from nightmares about the hospital, and Marco held me until dawn. Sometimes his old trust issues surfaced, and we had to talk through his fears that I'd leave or that this was all too good to be true. But we worked through it. Together. "Hey," Marco said one night as we lay in bed, his head on my chest. "I have a question. Ask me. Do you ever regret it? Kidnapping me that day?" I was quiet for a moment, my fingers tracing patterns on his shoulder. "I regret how it started. I regret scaring you, making you feel trapped. But the outcome?" I tilted his chin up to meet his eyes. "Finding you? Loving you? No, I'll never regret that." "Good answer. What about you? Do you regret not running when you had the chance?" He pretended to think about it. "Well, my therapist says I have terrible self-preservation instincts and possible Stockholm Syndrome." "You're seeing a therapist?" "Of course I'm seeing a therapist. My boyfriend kidnapped me. That's therapy-worthy." I chuckled. "Fair point. What does she say?" "That as long as I'm happy and feel safe and have autonomy in the relationship, she won't judge my life choices." He grinned. "She also says you sound like you need therapy." "I probably do. We're a mess, aren't we? The best kind of mess." I kissed the top of his head. "You know what the irony is? I spent 3 years believing I'd never feel anything again. That part of me died with Alessandro and Sofia. But you didn't just make me feel alive, you made me realize I could love again. That I could build something new without betraying what I had before. That's beautiful. Did you rehearse that?" "Shut up." He laughed and snuggled closer. Outside, the city lights twinkled in the distance. Tomorrow we'd go back to our complicated reality. My dangerous business, his normal job, the constant balancing act of 2 worlds colliding. But tonight, we were just 2 people who'd found each other in the most unlikely way possible. A mafia boss who couldn't feel anything and a sharp-tongued man who refused to be afraid. And somehow, against all odds, it worked. "I love you," Marco whispered. "I love you too," I replied. "Even though you're a pain in the ass. Especially because I'm a pain in the ass. Especially because of that." We fell asleep tangled together, and for the first time in years, I didn't dream of hospitals and loss. I dreamed of the future, messy and complicated and perfect. The end.